the Royal sounded really interesting, but I don't think they took a direction, at least the direction that I was expecting. That being said, if this is the story they wanted to tell, then that's absolutely fine. They have every right to tell this story the way they wanted to. I just think it would have been more powerful and more interesting if they either told a slightly different part of the story or gave us everything in one. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. But I'm on the fence with trying to decide, is this just personal preference, or do I genuinely think they made a bad decision? And again, if this is the story they want to tell, I guess that's fair enough. This was released in 2022. It's directed by Marcel Sarmiento and it's written by Gregory W. Jordan, and it stars Amin Joseph as Willie Mays Aikens. And I'd never heard of Willie Mays Aikens before, but he was a Kansas City Royal slugger, baseball player, and he basically left his career as he got into the world of drugs, and it resulted in quite a lengthy prison sentence. And this film is about the aftermath. It's about once he is released from prison and trying to find his feet, reconnecting with family, and that's all well and good. That's interesting enough, and I guess there is value in telling that story, in showing hope that there is life after time on the inside, that you can come out with a different outlook, that you still have a chance to make all of the right decisions after the fact, which I think is a really great message. But I think it would have been a more powerful, an important film if they showed us his promising baseball career and then his descent into the world of drugs and how that completely made his life fall apart. Because aside from knowing he went to prison, I never really got a strong sense of just how much that destroyed his life. Obviously, going to prison for the best part of 2 decades or however long it was is going to significantly alter your life. But honestly, with the feel of the film, he could have been inside for 6 months, and it just never really felt as impactful as it could have been. So, in my opinion, I think it would have been a better, more moving film if they'd showed us from early on in his career and then how drugs ruined everything for him. And then I guess if they wanted to, the aftermath as well. But at the same time, if they sat down and said, I want to tell a story about hope, afterlife on the inside, then fair enough. If that's the story they wanted to tell, that's fine. But if they just wanted to tell the story of Willie Mays Aikens, then I think the other direction, going to his earlier years and his heyday, if you like, and then going from there, I think would have been a much more powerful story. I think there would have been a lot more lessons. And again, they could have plenty of films cut forward however many years, and they could have easily done that. We could have had a film of 2 halves if they really wanted to. And I think it would have been more moving, more emotional, and more powerful to follow his entire journey. So, depending on what kind of story they wanted to tell, I think they could have made better decisions with the direction of the film if they wanted something to be powerful and moving and meaningful. I just feel like for the hour and 40 minutes or so, it's not very emotional. Obviously, the general message is quite strong, and yes, there is this feeling of hope, and Willie Mays Aikens is certainly a very likeable character. I have no idea if this is an accurate portrayal of the individual, and if anybody has any thoughts on that, please feel free to share. But it's not very moving. I didn't cry, put it that way. I didn't cry at this, and it's absolutely the kind of narrative that would make me sob. I just felt such a small emotional response to this. Also, the baseball aspect, obviously because this is after the fact, there isn't a great deal of baseball in this, but there is some baseball. So it's an okay film that I wouldn't watch again. But had they taken a different direction, had it been more powerful, I might be saying something different here. Do I recommend it? Sure, it's worth checking out. It told me about Willie Mays Aikens. I hadn't heard of him, so I got an education there. And yes, the message of hope and his life after being locked up it's interesting enough, but I think it could have been a lot better. But again, maybe this is the story they wanted to tell, and if that's the case, fair enough. So The Royal isn't perfect. It's not very emotional. It doesn't have such a big impact, and I feel like it could have done. So, a little bit disappointing as well, but in general, it's okay, and if it sounds like it might appeal to you, I'd say it's probably worth watching.